Hi, ninth grade design. This is Miss Stapp here with you to go over our weekly assignments. It is April 6th, and I have just posted everything that we're going to do for the week. I want you to note that our Zoom meetings have changed a little bit. I will post on Tuesday morning a message with your login information that you need. We will be doing two classes, one at 1 o'clock and one at 1:30, and you will get information about which class you're in via that email. You'll also be able to look on messages if you don't see an email in your inbox and find that information. So these meetings are not mandatory. They're just a question and answer period for you to be able to ask me things. I will spend a brief amount of time at the very beginning going over our plans for the week, and then it's open for you asking questions and, of course, always giving me feedback on how things are going. Okay, so this is our new lesson. Let's take a look at it. Moving forward, so we are moving from A and what we've done on B into C, and C is what is going to be graded for this last quarter. Um, and if you're wondering, we are skipping a little bit of B, and you might be wondering, how do I move from these specifications and these three plans and to choosing one and all the way to starting the product creation? So I have uploaded for you at the bottom, how do I move forward B2 and B3? And these are some ideas and kind of a visual aid on helping you make that choice of those three ideas, helping you choose which one meets your specifications and maybe even making some changes in your original plan in order to meet all of those specifications that you started working on. All right, so I have also included some helpful resources. And these are going to be some free software that you can use to create really beautiful looking graphs, timelines, flowcharts, or whatever you want to make to demonstrate to me the comprehensive and ordered list of tasks, the description of your product time, and a description of the projected resources that you're going to use. Those include materials and tools. So the other thing I've included on resources is a link to an article on how to use royalty-free music, the legalities of it. And if you scroll down to the bottom, it's got a list of websites where you can access royalty-free music. So I recommend reading that article, but it's not a have to. You might already know some of that information based on your research, but it's there for you just in case you want to look. Okay. Again, the three things we're going to be doing in Strand C1 are that comprehensive list of tasks, also known as a procedure list, the description of your projected use of time, and a description of the resources that you hope to use. I would love for you to watch this 3-minute video on Gantt charts, and it kind of explains some of the things that you're going to see because I've created a Gantt chart. I like the Gantt chart because it is an easy way to display all of these three things. I don't have to make a timeline and then do my procedural task list and then another table where I have my resources. I can put it all in really one neat table. But this is up to you. I like that you use the experience that you have and a little bit of creativity to make that flow chart, that procedural list, that thing that works best for you to display all of those three elements. All right, so here's a quick sample. Your Gantt chart does not need to look exactly like this, but it will have to include some of the things that I have included in these columns. Step 1. And make a note that I only want you to work for the prescribed amount of time. And if I recommend an hour and 40 minutes, that should be high quality hour and 40 minutes of work. And that's what I've put here for your procedural list. But stop at that hour and 40 minutes because this might take a little longer for you. You might completely finish, but whatever you have after an hour and 40 minutes, you turn into me so I can give you feedback and you use that feedback for your final project. So here is a little sample from my Gantt chart of the procedural list. And remember, we did these with paper airplanes. I also have an exemplar I can show you here. is a procedural list exemplar. You can go and look at how detailed those steps should be. They should be detailed enough that somebody can recreate this podcast without you, and recreate it exactly as you would. So the things that need to be included on your procedural list, I've listed here. There are 9 things. I know on my sample there were only 4 slots, but that was just an example, a starter for you. You will have to have at least these 9 things on your procedural list, but you may have thought of things that you wanted to add to your podcast, so it can be more than 9. But at least things like your podcast script creation, the recording, the music for your podcast, and so forth. All right. Step 2 is going to be a description of your projected use of time. Notice I only have 25 minutes here. It should be pretty short and sweet. At this point, you are not going to have your actual use of time. You're just going to fill in the estimated start time and estimated task length. You do not have to do this dependent on task number. When you watch that video that I've suggested, it talks about that and how that's important. If you think that would be valuable to you, you can definitely add that column, but it does not have to. You have to have the start date, the estimated task length, and a place where your actual start date and length of time for each task will go. And that will look like this. At this point, you will not have it blocked off because you haven't actually started the project. So as you work on your project, you will fill in this chart and block out how much time it takes you. We don't know at this point. We're just kind of making estimates and starting to manage our time moving forward effectively, but you'll do that as we move along. All right, step 3 is a detailed description of each of the projected resources that you will use. I would like for you to work 1 hour and 40 minutes on this as well. And I pulled out these columns to show you what these would look like. So keep in mind that materials and tools are different, and it's a little harder to think about in this digital and audio products. So the materials are going to be things like images, video, recorded interviews that you do, and so on. Whereas the tools are going to be that software that you use. So you can see over on the left-hand side, I have the materials I'm using, and I have taken some of that royalty-free music, and I put 10 seconds. That's actually pretty long, probably 5 seconds is a little better. But I described what that music is like and why I'm using it. And then I have my little citation of the music, and I just popped it in there. If you'd like to have your citations on something else, that's fine with me. I think the best way to display it here, because it is a material that you're using, is right in the column, but this might make your Gantt chart really big. Expect your Gantt chart to be really big. It's not going to be nice and small like my blank one that you saw. One of the tools I'm using, and you might be using too, is Audacity. I told you a little bit about what I'm going to use Audacity for and where to find Audacity, and the last time I checked into that website. So those are the kind of things that you will be putting into your resources, and they should be detailed. Okay, look at detailed description. So it's not just the name. What is this resource used for? And that's to let, again, anybody else know that is recreating this project exactly what you are using and what you're going to be, what the intentions are. Okay. At the very bottom of this list, I have broken down what you will be turning in. So again, this can all be in one big, beautiful chart. It can be several charts, however you want to do it, make it yours. You're going to have that detailed list of tasks, which is also known as a procedural list. You're going to have a description of your projected use of time at this point and a place where you will put the actual time eventually, and a detailed description of each of the resources that you will use. So that's all we got, and I will be meeting you tomorrow for Zoom. I hope you guys had a great weekend, and I look forward to talking to you in this week ahead.